Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today I have a special guest. It's Lorna Lever from a GS1 UK, the Barcode company. Hey Lorna, how you doing?
Hi, great. How are you?
Yes, very good. So we've been speaking for a little while now.
Yeah,
There's a lot to kind of cover ground here, which confuses a lot of Amazon sellers.
yeah,
We're going to spare Amazon sellers of the basics, what are GTINs and all that kind of stuff they can read on the website. What I want to get to is I want to talk about the Wild West that's out there with barcodes and how difficult it is now for Amazon sellers to use non-compliant ones and what happens with non-compliant ones and where do people stand, because I think there's this big bubble out there that everyone sits in and they just completely don't understand what's going on at the moment. So I'd like to cover off as much as this information on the podcast. So do you want to just give me a little bit of background on yourself?
sure. Yeah, great. Thanks for the opportunity for clearing this up because it's basically questions that I get asked all the time. My background is actually selling on marketplaces, but for global retailers. So I previously set up the marketplace integrations for Mothercare and Early Learning Centre. And then after that, I went to boohoo.com and then did it for June London, the footwear company. So I've got quite a bit of experience and know a lot of the pitfalls that you guys appreciate when you're trying to sell on Amazon. So I'll plainly admit that I didn't really understand what EANs, UPCs, all of that was. Obviously, when you come from a global brand, they just have all of that data. There's not really that setup need. It's all done for you. So it's definitely been a learning curve for me. So I can well sympathise with the Amazon sellers, especially the guys that are just starting out.
Yeah.
So basically, the Wild West, that is a great term for it because it is that essentially. It goes back to 2002, and there was a lawsuit in the US where basically just terminology of the terms and conditions of GS1 meant that the lawsuit was filed where people that were members could perpetually keep those numbers that they had, as opposed to an annual license, which is the way that we all work currently. But what they have been found to be doing is actually selling those numbers on. And that is where those the numbers from the unauthorized sellers of GTINs have come from. So they're taking that number and they're selling it on to other people when it should have been kept for themselves and themselves only.
Yeah. Cool. And the thing is, there's a lot of stuff that comes up that, I mean, you know, I say there are decent companies out there that don't sell duplicates, but there are literally companies that will sell duplicates over and over again, having a short term.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sure
money.
there are GTIN sellers out there that are very cautious and would make sure that they aren't selling duplicates. But the issue with those is that they're not part of the GS1 system. So they sit outside of us and therefore can become a duplicate of any that we would issue. Yeah. So the system can only work if it's one system and one system wholly, unfortunately. Exactly. But that's the only way it can remain unique. So the ones that are coming through that are duplicates, obviously we've been working with the likes of Amazon to be able to crack down on these, because obviously as soon as a duplicate occurs in Amazon, that's a problem for Amazon as well as the merchant.
Yes.
So they are taking a feed from us. I have seen a lot on the internet where people are disputing that fact, but it's true. They take it from most of our larger markets, a daily file, a list of all of the numbers that we have issued and who they're issued to. And so when you're creating a new product on Amazon, they will verify against that database. And they do actually state that in several places throughout the listings process. Yeah. So any new line is going to be subjected to that. And once they've got that all wrapped up and nice and neat, they're going to be moving on to the back catalogue. So the problems that you're going to find with unauthorized GTIN sellers is going to get worse, I'm afraid.
Yeah. So let's talk about, I mean, eBay themselves have had a bit of a crackdown, because I mean, it makes total sense in the sense that eBay do not want to be having issues with duplication. So having a barcode company selling duplicate barcodes onto their platform only to be added to an eBay product to cause more issues to the system, it does make sense that they're having a bit of a cleanup. So talk me through this whole crackdown that they've been doing for non-compliant ones.
Yeah, so the difference between Amazon and eBay is that Amazon have actually currently already got in place where a GTIN is a prohibited item. So along with like illegal stuff, you can't list a number to be resold to another buyer. eBay haven't quite moved to that yet, because obviously they're more a far newer player in the area of product identifiers, having only really started to accelerate that program from the end of 2017, I believe. So obviously, when you do a little Google search, it often is something on eBay that you find as a search result, and people are buying them there, which, like you say, they're then listing it on eBay and then causing a whole sort of ecosystem of problems from creating duplicates. But we've been working with eBay also. We do a lot of marketplace engagements directly to kind of show them that actually this is creating more of a headache for yourselves. So I think it's probably up to about 300 listings we've actually had removed through the Vero program.
Yeah.
And they're kind of because a lot of these are also claiming that they're eBay authentic ones, so ones that will be guaranteed to work on eBay, which also isn't the case, along with Amazon. But obviously, eBay aren't so keen on helping out Amazon IP infringements for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
They are obviously concentrating on the ones that are infringing eBay. So again, they've been cracking down on that, and we've seen such great success from that, actually. And in fact, we saw a tweet from one of our new members yesterday. In fact, I'm not sure if he's a member yet, but he said along the lines of he bought a GTIN from there, and then found that it didn't work. So, and it was one that was found to be on eBay, and also that listing has since been removed too.
Yeah. So, right, let's get into this. So basically, this is not about being the police. This is not about, big company versus little company. We're here to squeeze you out of money. I understand that. But I think the greater marketplace needs to be absolutely clear on what's trying to be dealt with here as well. I think the second problem, there's a couple of problems here what this leads to. Why do it drive people underground to buy these barcodes? Because maybe some of the confusion. So some people just don't know where to join. Now, when I had a little bit of a look around and I looked at all the different GS1 marketplaces, I see the pricing's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking at maybe the US could be more expensive, say, than the UK. So if I was in the US, and I don't know if I'm being cheeky here, is there anything stopping me joining the UK because it's more cost effective for someone who's like maybe they've only done one or two products?
I can totally appreciate where they're coming from. Well, obviously, when they see the differences in prices, especially with the non-authorized one. Yeah. The unfortunate thing is that people just see that it's a 13-digit number and that's it, and no more value to it than that. But what a lot of people don't realise is that GS1, no matter which office you go to, offer a lot more than just giving you a number. Yeah. It comes into different areas depending on what's relevant to that market. So it will be things like training, events, networking, and then also taking you on a journey of various different services that is going to help your business as you grow. So things like product management, imagery, all these kind of different stuff. It is way more than just a number. But obviously, when you're starting out, I appreciate that you want to test these things. And obviously, with your reference to the different pricing models that vary across different countries, we have 112 offices. So because we actually technically compete against each other, we have an antitrust policy, which means we don't discuss prices in between. So I wouldn't know off the top of my head which one would be the cheapest, but I know that they are all governed separately by their own supervisory boards to make a local offering that is relevant for there. So yes, you're able to join whichever one fits you and your business best. That is no problem. But obviously the advantage of going with your local office is just that you have local service in terms of timelines, time zones, obviously being global, and also the language. So, but it is down to you, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So all I'm trying to look at, I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here.
Of course.
Trying to see
all the time.
Yeah. So it's just trying to get those questions answered for the audience. I mean, because this is the thing. This is where the next thing it leads on to. And I'm going to admit here, when I started out and I was a novice, I went to a Barcode website and bought from there. They were GS1 regenerated numbers. I didn't know any difference back then. Yep. But what it cost me in terms of stress, later down the line because,
Yeah.
you know, I end up killing this product off anyway because it becomes the end of its life cycle. But there was a period of time that I was like, I couldn't edit the listing. And I was terrified of editing the listing. And I knew I could change over the barcode because I was then registered with GS1.
Yeah.
But I couldn't rely on Amazon. Ask anyone, they're probably laughing now as they're listening to this. No one's going to really, even when it's in writing 4 times, unless it's been lifted up to management level, I don't think anyone's going to believe, yeah, sure, it's okay. Just switch the barcode over and nothing's going to happen and rely on seller support. God bless them. You know, they're trying to do their job, but it's not very easy. If you're an experienced Amazon seller, generally, you'll know 100 times more than the seller support team. Let's say you've got guys that started back in 2013, 14, 15, back in the gold rush days of Amazon, or that's what they used to call it.
Yeah.
They went and bought off a certain barcode website. They went to eBay to buy their barcodes. And now they've got this issue. They've still got their bestseller rolling and they're terrified of changing the barcode over, that they can switch. Now, we've got a mutual friend, Prabhat, who operates here in the UK, does different events, and I know he works with you guys as well. He's tested it, and it works. So basically, he's taken the old barcode, changed it for a new barcode, which is fully GS1 compliant, pressed save, and it worked. The only thing that he hasn't tested is that he hasn't tested when multiple people listing against a listing. But if you're a private label seller and you're the only one listing bar hijackers, this should work without an issue. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep, exactly to that point. Yeah, we have it on our website, kind of with screenshots showing you where you do it. Obviously, it's you go into the product and you change the product information. Obviously, I know it's scary. We have only been able to test it on one where there's just that person in the buy box. I would love to be able to test it on a product that's got multiple sellers all on the same listing. So if anyone out there has a product, obviously I wouldn't ever dream of asking you to do it on your bestseller as a test. But if you've got one that maybe is coming to its end of its life anyway, or one of the lower sellers, and you're willing to do it, get in contact, because I would love to do a test with that just to see what it works, because we have been told by Amazon that it's fine to do that. But again, I feel your pain with the difference of opinions that you get sometimes from customer support from them. Also, obviously, the only other thing to note would be the consideration that if you had any stock in FBA at that point, you would need to remove the stock first. Change the barcode over and send the stock back in.
Because you're going to end up stranding your stock otherwise.
Definitely. It won't be a recognisable GTIN number within their system then. So obviously it's a lot easier to do it if you're self-fulfilled. So it would be ideal if you had one of those for a scenario to be able to try that out.
Okay, so key steps to take is run down your stock, just get ready. A lot of people use 3PLs now anyway. Run down your stock, and then as you do the changeover, you can then close your listing, make the changes to the listing in terms of switching over the barcode, and then after it's gone through and it's confirmed and it's updated, give it, a few hours, because sometimes it takes a little while for Amazon to propagate to confirm. And then from there, you can raise a new shipment with the new barcode and then send it in.
Exactly. Yeah. It should work, but obviously I can see people's concerns. So let's get this tested on a multiple seller.
So for clarity as well, with the change of the barcode on the back end, does that change the FN SKU? Because normally if you send something in on a new barcode, you generate a new FN SKU. And if you've got your packaging and you've got your FN SKU on your packaging, then you're going to have to relabel as well. Or are we saying that because it's a changeover, are we able to retain the same FN SKU?
I need to double check on that, because what we all suggest to our members is that actually use the stickerless option, and then that way you don't have to use anything of Amazon. You use the GTIN for what its kind of real purpose is. You use that number as the identifier for the product. So obviously, it reduces additional time and cost for you for having to relabel at all, just for Amazon specific stock. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's probably a whole new episode that we can talk about and go into. Ultimately, what we're trying to get to is that it's true, it's possible. So we can put the hearsay to the side. It does work, but you need to go through some fundamental steps to make this work. So let's talk about another thing that you and I have been talking about and what your company's been discussing. And you called it like an amnesty program, which basically says we're not persecuting anyone who doesn't have official GS1 barcodes. We want to welcome you to the family. We're not going to hold anything against you. But this is something you're discussing in-house so that it allows people who did start testing back in the day, who has got historic products with old barcodes, and whether they chose in mind to do this like because they were a novice or because they knew exactly what they're doing. What you're saying is you're not holding anything against them, and that there's a way forward for this.
Yeah, it is definitely an experimental phase. It's just in discussion at the moment. But yeah, we're not about being the police and telling you off because you've used it, because we understand the reasons why people would go to those companies. But what we want is to make sure that the system is working, and it can only work if everyone uses it. So we want to speak to merchants. We're actually looking at doing some focus groups and some roundtables to get some information just to see what kind of amnesty, as it were, would work. So it would be looking at what would make you join. Would it be join GS1, by the way? What would be your barriers to that? What would you like to see from us? Basically just giving us some feedback as to why you went down that route and why you didn't join GS1, and even if you knew about GS1 at all, because what we're finding is actually a lot of it is down to awareness. These GTIN sellers seem to be a lot better at Google search rankings and PPC biddings that we do, because obviously we're a not-for-profit, so we're not about throwing money into massive marketing campaigns. We do what we can where we can. So yeah, if anyone wants to have a chat about that, just get in touch. That'd be great.
Cool. Well, look, we'll get you back for another episode. Is there anything you want to cover before we go? Is there any way that people can reach you? What's the best way to reach out to GS1?
Yep. Well, obviously we've got all the usual socials. We've got a Facebook, a Twitter, and LinkedIn. I have my own presence on there as well, particularly Twitter. But more than happy to take emails as well. I'll send all of that over, as well as a few useful links. So like the test that we did via Amazon. But if you want to drop me an email, my email is lorna.lever@gs1uk.org. So I'm more than happy to take queries that are related to marketplaces. It would be great to clear up a lot of this ambiguity that I see so much of the internet. So
excellent. Great. Well, Lorna, thanks for joining us, guys. Thank you for joining us. If this is your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Also, join us June 1st, live in London, sellersessions.com/live. Take care.